Hey, this is Ronald Lamy. Welcome to Experts in Power, where we bring experts to answer some of your questions. And today we have here with us Jeremy Finger. I'm excited to have him here with us. He is a great guy. We know each other for a little while. We got some things in common. We like poker, we like golf, and we got mutual friends. And so I feel that he was an excellent candidate for us to have him here at the show to help us with some of the financial planning. He is the founder at Riverbend Wealth Management. So welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Hey, thank you, Ronald.
Yeah, man, thank you, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate
you taking your time, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So how's Myrtle Beach, man, treating you? Do you do anything exciting this morning?
Not this morning. Just went and worked out and did a little work at the office, had a few conference calls, and came over here to do this with you. And I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thanks to you. So how often you work out?
Not enough, as you can see. I probably work out. I try to work out 2 or 3 days a week. I go to Core Fitness. Real good group of guys there. Try to do CrossFit. Some people do it a lot better than I do.
Okay.
That age is getting to me.
So this is in Myrtle Beach?
Yeah, it's in Myrtle Beach. Yeah,
Myrtle Beach, okay.
right off Robert Grissom.
Wow, so, very nice. That's impressive. You know, three times a week. That's really good.
I try to.
That's good.
But truthfully, I could probably get more out of it if I just put the fork down.
Yeah.
Not eat so much.
I know that's like 80% of the battle is the diet.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're hitting the gym. And so, what time do you usually get up in the morning? What's your routine like?
It varies some, but I'm an early riser. I probably get up 4 to 5 a.m. every morning. 4 or 5 a.m. Yeah.
So you get up and go to the gym right then, or
no. I get up and then I do some reading and a little thinking and self-reflection usually, and then have my coffee and then go either to the gym, and sometimes I go to work instead of the gym.
Okay.
Early in the morning, I feel like I can get so much more done.
Sure.
Before the phone
early morning before everybody starts.
Oh yeah.
Asking questions and just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same. So how long have you been in Myrtle Beach? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about that.
I grew up in a little small town called Nichols, South Carolina, about an hour west of here. That's the one that had all that flooding done for the past, in the hurricanes.
Sure.
I grew up there, and then I went to college at Charleston. Studied biology, chemistry, and business, and graduated from there. And then I became a certified. I worked in my industry as a financial planner since 1997. 1997. Yeah. So you've been here since 1997. 1997. Well, probably 1 year before that.
1 year. Okay.
Yeah, just trying to get my feet settled and everything. And
how do you like Myrtle Beach?
Yeah, I like Myrtle Beach. Yeah.
It's a good place, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is. You
can beat the sun, the beach.
Right.
Outside.
It's kind of a close knit local community, and then you get all the chaos and stuff that happens throughout the year with all the tourists coming into town. But that's Myrtle Beach, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So how do you get into this industry? Like what made you get into this industry?
Okay, so all my life I wanted to be a doctor since I was 4 years old. But my
doctor, huh?
Yeah. Wow. And so I was always interested in science.
Well, is it like somebody pushing you at home?
My dad was a doctor, but he wasn't pushing me. He wasn't pushing me. No, it was all self-driven, really.
He inspired you.
Yeah, he did. But he did house calls. People come over and do the things, but he did it old school way. That's how he was brought up, and that's how he did it. But what he would do when he would get home from work was he would watch the stock market on TV. And so I was like, Dad, what are those things going across the bottom of the screen? And he would tell me, well, those are stocks. Those are pieces of companies, and this and that. So I did have a little bit of interest in that. And ended up saving up my allowance and buying my first stock at 12 years old. 12 years old? Yeah.
Nice.
I bought IBM, that was my first.
That was like an advice from your dad. He said like, this is a hot stock right now.
No, he didn't say that. He liked IBM at the time. This was a long time ago, obviously, and I was like, well, I'm saving. I've got some money, Dad. Buy me a stock share of it. So there you go. That was my first one.
Wow, 12 years old buying stocks.
that was my only one for a very long time.
That's cool.
But what ended up happening is after I graduated, I took the MCATs and did an interview, and they wanted me to wait a year for medical school. While I waited a year in medical school, I worked for a financial advisor for that summer. And I was like, my goodness, this is really interesting.
It's fun.
And my dad said to me, he said, son, he says, well, how you saw me be a doctor is not the same way that you would be a doctor if you became a doctor nowadays. It's just not, people don't do it that way. And then I actually took pause in that, and I said, well, maybe I'll help people financially instead of physically. And that's when I decided to become a financial advisor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So you went from doctor to financial advisor.
That's right.
That's
good.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so but everything was inclined to help people. That's
right.
That you were feeling something inside of you to that need to help.
That's
others.
right. That's right. And I also had a big interest in it as well. Yeah, that's right.
That's cool. What were some of your biggest fears, like, you know, going and transitioning from, you know, maybe wanting to become a doctor and just going into a financial planning business?
You know, you know, for a long time I wanted to be a doctor. So changing that, there was certainly some uncertainty there. Maybe I was just young and naive. I don't feel like I had fear. There was certainly uncertainty, but I just said, well, I'm young and I've got nothing to lose. No one's lying on me. So I didn't really feel like I had pressure or fear there. I just assumed that I was going to be successful. I didn't really think too much about it. Again, probably naive.
Sure.
But
yeah, you just jump on it.
Yeah, that's what I did. But I will say this: the guy who did hire me, you know, he says, "Hey, you need to do this, and this," and I was open to learning, and so he did help me.
Right, that's great. So he was kind of like your mentor?
Yeah, then? Exactly. Sure was.
How long did you work for that company?
Well, that was, the company that hired me in 1997 had takeover with banks and the consolidations and everything. And I worked for that company for 15 years and became a major banking institution. And then I went to another competing banking institution for 7 years. And then after a while, that's, you know, call it 20 years or 23 years in the industry, I just felt like there was a better way.
A better way to do things?
Yeah, for me.
Sure.
For me, it was. I mean, I didn't need to have someone telling me, you need to do this, and this, and you need to sell this product, this product, this product, this product. I felt like, hey, you know, I want to be able to look at it from the client's point of view, knowing what I know, without any conflicts of interest or incentives. Hey, what would I do if I were them?
Sure.
And be able to provide that for them.
So not being restrictive to, like, you know, guide your clients.
Not be restricted and not be incentivized.
Incentivized, yeah.
Okay.
Incentivized is a big one.
Right, absolutely. So it's like, oh, hey, you need to buy this versus this because this company is giving me a kickback or whatever.
Sure.
I didn't want any part of that.
Right.
I didn't want any part of that.
Sure.
And see, and where I am now, I'm a fiduciary, meaning that there is no conflicts of interest. I am solely compensated by the fee that my clients pay me. If it's this or that, it makes no difference.
Sure.
You know, no difference in compensation whatsoever.
Yeah, because I would feel there is a different motivation behind it. I mean, you probably guide them more towards that way, rather than just what's best for them, right?
That's right. You know, so there was a lot of boxes I had to check at the previous places I worked. Oh, you need to do this, and this, and this. And really, some of those things may not have been in the best interest of the client, but they want you to do that because the more accounts or things you have dealing with that bank,
yeah, more kickbacks you get.
Well, the more kickbacks the bank gets. Maybe I didn't get them.
No, yeah, I mean,
but more the kickbacks the bank get, and if the client becomes more stickier, meaning that they may have more apprehension to leave that bank if they have a lot of things with them, right? But
makes sense.
Yeah. But the thing, the best credit card might be a Citibank credit card versus Bank of America. It may be you know, a health savings account here. It may be Anderson Brothers Bank doing the loan for this particular client versus Coastal Carolina.
Sure.
So you know, me when I represent a client, now I can sit there looking from the client's point of view and looking at all the available things out there in the world today, what really is best for them, and really build it according to what's best for them.
Sure.
It may be, and I'm not obligated or incentivized to use any particular bank or institution or anything.
So how's that evolution? Tell us about like when you started and now where you are.
Well, evolution. That evolution may have been around well before I realized it. I don't. It may have, but it just became a realization that I got over the last few years. I just felt the inconsistencies in the message, you know.
Sure. And it was you putting your face on it?
Well, it was, okay, so if I saw that something was better for the client, me getting backlash from doing it, and I'm like, why would I get the backlash? You know, but then I saw that, well, it's not serving the shareholders of this bank.
Right.
But truthfully, when someone hires me, they're not looking out for the shareholders of the bank. They want me to look out for them.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Hey. So that's really where I took a step back then, and I said to myself, I said, okay, knowing what I know, how would I be able to best serve my clients? And that's when I went and started doing some research for over a year. I visited, I don't know, 10, 12 different companies, talked to 30 different advisors around the country. Every single conversation, I had a list of 20-some questions. Kind of probably like some of the questions you have there.
Sure.
But are you incentivized or penalized for using any product or service? That was one of the big ones. Because if I was incentivized, that's a conflict. If I was penalized, that's a conflict.
Right.
You know, I wanted to really try to have it be as clean as it possibly could be.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, do the best for your client.
That's right.
That's how you can do.
So
that's when you open up your own company.
That's right. And now to keep in mind, be that as it may, okay, I did open up my own company, but I'm using Fidelity Investments. Okay, so all the money is held at Fidelity. You're looking at $8 trillion institution.
Sure.
Huge company. And I've got their resources. But I also have a company called Stratos that acts as my back office as well. So then they're a $14 billion company. And then I have strategic partnerships in multiple different areas that would be able to help, you know, do security financing, financial planning, health savings accounts, whatever the case may be. All the different bases are covered, no matter what the client needs.
So it sounds like after 23 years, you pick the best of the best of what you learn.
That's right.
And your experience, and you pick the best for now bringing truly the best benefit for your clients now.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
That's right.
That's great.
I can sleep light. You know,
that's
a
great feeling. That's a great feeling.
I can sleep nice and it's wonderful.
That's probably the best. It wasn't probably easy to like jump into it at the beginning, like taking that leap of faith of becoming an entrepreneur. Like,
right. So when you asked me the question earlier, did I have fear? I was young and naive. I didn't have much fear. I also didn't have anything to lose. I'm married and got a kid, right?
Right.
So, and I have a lot of, had some clients. And so it was a tremendous leap of faith to go and do this. Because what advisors do is they go from one banking institution to another banking institution. Or they do
That's the safest route.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, oh, well, it's not ABC, it's DEF. And, sure. But what I did was I jumped the entire route to go strictly what's called RIA, Registered Investment Advisor, with no conflicts of interest, no banking ties, and open up my own firm with using Fidelity, and that was a tremendous leap of faith. But what I said to myself in making that decision was this: I said, what is the best way to do the business in the world today for me? No conflicts of interest and no incentives or penalties. Do the right thing, and whatever happens, happens. Okay, now fortunately, I've been very, very, very fortunate in that it has really worked out unbelievably well. Unbelievably well. I had a worst case scenario and a best case scenario, and it was better than the best case scenario.
Wow.
But I was prepared for, a lot worse but I knew that it was the right thing for me.
Sure.
You know, and for my clients as well.
Right.
Like if I'm sitting there representing you, right, and I say, hey, Ronald, you know, you really need to use this bank or this credit card, or you need to talk to this attorney to get some things done. I didn't want to have an incentive or penalty associated with me saying that. Mm-hmm. And so it is truly no conflicts of interest. And so that when you leave my office, or when I lay under my head on the pillow at night, it is a freedom.
You feel good. You are feeling
yes, good. Absolutely right.
Right.
Now, if you sit there and say, I'll say this too though, if you sit there and say, you know what, Jeremy doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, and don't do business with me, that's also okay.
Sure.
You know, that's also okay.
Yeah, not everybody's gonna like you.
No,
yeah,
no,
exactly.
of course not.
Absolutely.
You know, some people like the big institutions that they feel like there's more of a good old boy club in doing it that way, or they feel like there's more security and having big glass windows.
But truly, they're really missing out on so many different possibilities that could be out there. You know, by going with someone like you, they can really show them the way to be really successful with it.
Yeah. There isn't anything, in the 23 years that I've been in the business, there isn't anything that any of those institutions can provide that I can't provide.
Sure.
Okay. Now, there are some limitations, like it may not all show up on one statement and this and that. There's little things that are there that may not be all tightly wrapped into a package, but the end result is the same. I mean, are you able to get this, and this done? The answer is yes, I can. Sure. And I know that each one of those different pieces is the right thing for them.
Sure.
You know, it's not all one banking institution.
Sure.
You know, it's like, I heard this one saying before, it's like, for a person that only owns a hammer, the whole world looks like a nail. You know,
sure.
Oh, this is the greatest company in the world. It can do everything. You know, that's not true.
Sure.
It's not the best at everything.
Especially, when you said that, they got incentives and penalties, and you're so restricted to guide your clients.
That's right. And I'll say this though, it is not, that is a great environment for someone who's learning.
Sure. Okay.
It's also a good environment for advisors who may have a bit of fear. And it's also a good environment that if someone really believes that this company does the right things in all areas and they're okay with it, that's okay too.
Sure.
And there's a lot of good intentioned people that work with these institutions, and they're successful in their own right.
Sure.
It wasn't right for me.
Right.
It just wasn't.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's just what's right for this person might not be right for this person, but
that's
still
right.
It's still good, right? As long as you come in with the right intentions.
That's right. And my intention was, again, no conflicts of interest.
Sure.
Right.
I share the same feeling with you. When obviously I handle a roofing company.
Sure.
And one of the things that I feel really good about myself is going to sleep at night feeling good.
Right.
Knowing that I have the choice to do the right thing for my clients.
Right.
Even though construction, we deal with manual labor, so sometimes some mistakes can happen.
Sure.
But just by doing the right thing and being able to stay behind for these clients, whether it's something that was not done right in the beginning, but we came back and we just came through for this client and we fix it.
And fix it. That's right.
And being able to be free to pick and choose, of what I'm gonna do for my clients, and find the best way to do it for my clients rather than, have somebody on top of me, because I deal with the same kind of like something similar, because I did a lot of new construction when I first started. So for 10 years I did all new construction. So we were working under a lot of general contractors.
Right.
And so we were pressured to do things, in certain ways that I just didn't like it, that I didn't feel comfortable putting that kind of quality for these people that are going to buy a new home. And that's not every general contractor, but there are some general contractors they're truly, I don't know. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. The quality that your name was on.
Sure.
You didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't feel good sleeping at night too. Like sometimes I've been thinking like, man, we just been rushed. You know, the money situation is really tight. You know, I can't cut corners. I just want to do the best thing for my clients and sleep good at night, knowing that they are taken care of.
That's right.
And I'm sure that's how you felt.
That's really how I felt.
That's a brave decision, you know, to like jump from 23 years working for somebody, you know, working to like just be your own boss.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Like right now, how's being your own boss right now? Like what's the difference?
Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I was in my office roughly 2 weeks ago. I remember just really thinking about it. I was in my office at 5 in the morning doing some things, and I've been in the office at sometimes 3 in the morning. Just wake up, can't sleep, just want to go to the office. So I go. And I just remember thinking how awesome it is, how fantastic it is, really.
Sure.
To do it that way. Now, I'll say this, though, is that there's a lot of decisions that are being made, you know, that I didn't have to make before, right? Hey, so is this technology better than this technology? Is this, you know, creating this email versus that email?
Marketing.
Yeah, marketing. There's
accounting.
all these different hats, you know. Yes, it's accounting. So you know, QuickBooks and things like that, which I outsource a lot of that stuff, and it's all fine. But it's something I didn't have to think about before.
Sure.
But what I've really been able to see, though, I'm not kidding, I've been able to see how the small business owner and the entrepreneur really live. Mm-hmm. Because now I'm on that side.
Sure.
I didn't ever think about it before, even though I dealt with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. But to feel that and to see that,
it's
a different world. It is. For me, it's one of the best experiences ever.
Really?
Really is.
Nice. That's very good. Like, you know, I'm sure that can motivate a lot of people, a lot of the viewers out here that are thinking, well, I'm in that same spot where he was back then, you know, where, you know, I'm restricted or I don't feel good about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I really want to jump and do my own thing, but, you know, I'm scared, you know. What would you tell somebody that is in that situation?
So my thought process was this. If I fast forward 20 years, looking back at today, how would I feel if I stayed on the same path or if I chose a different path? I felt, and this was one of these soul-searching things, that if I stayed on the same path, that I'd be feeling like I was sold out. I sold myself short. I sold out. Mm-hmm. I am looking at the clock, waiting for it to pass, while I grind out this existence. And I didn't want to do that. Mm-hmm. I just said, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail a different way for me. And I just said, what is the right way in my mind? And then let's make that work.
Sure.
Right. And now keep in mind, what I had in my mind when I first started was like this, right? But what it ended up happening when I was going down the path, it really was this. So I had to be very flexible in my thought process.
Sure.
But again,
you gotta adapt.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like the business plan doesn't necessarily go according to the plan.
Right.
You gotta adapt, keep adapting.
I was thinking, like, truthfully, I mean, I was thinking, okay, I need to have, you know, the CPA for payroll. I need to have this trading platform. I need to do this and piecemeal all this stuff together myself. That's what I was thinking. You register with SEC and all that. I was thinking I was going that route. And then I was listening to this, no joke, I was listening to a podcast. And I was listening to a guy talking about what he was doing in my industry. And so there's another whole industry set up for people to do just what I did, who want to have economies of scale in place for billing, marketing, compliance, client management, bundled together to where they can help people like me go from working at a banking institution to doing things independently.
Sure.
And so
it was a lot easier than you thought.
Oh my goodness. I was trying to put all this create all the individual pieces, put all the individual pieces together. But truthfully, someone's already done that. So I could just, outsource a large part of what I needed to there. A $14 billion company, right?
Right.
So I was like, my goodness, And so I interview with them, and I interview with other companies like that. But my goodness, did that ever help? But I was no joke. I was driving to, I think it was Clemson. My son played in the tennis tournament there, and I was listening to this podcast. And I don't recommend this, but I looked this number up. I looked the guy's number up on my phone, made the phone call, and said, right then, I said, listen, you don't know me, but I think we can have some, I like what you said.
I heard you on the podcast.
And he called me like 5 hours later.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why podcasts are so popular now, because you can get so much information that back then, you had to read it through a book or, but now, like, if you have, like, somebody that you really like and that you feel that you can get some knowledge from, now you can go into a podcast and just listen to that experience.
On any topic.
Yeah, on any and help you.
That's right. And so, I can't remember who was it that said it. It wasn't Dale Carnegie, but it was somebody like that. And they call it Automobile University. As much as you're in the car, hey, I'm learning. I mean, you could get a whole college degree.
That's how I do. That's how I get all my education. Like, I don't waste time listening to music. I mean, unless I'm with people, that I'm, we're taking a road trip or something like that. But I don't waste time. Like, I drive a lot. I go from job site to job site or meeting to meeting. And by the time I get there, I'm already researching, better practices for accounting or marketing techniques or how to buy a company, acquisitions. I don't know, whatever I can think of. Every day I'm trying to learn something when I'm driving in my car, like you said. Like,
that's awesome, man. And here you are. Here you were. How long have you been in Myrtle Beach?
I've been here for 20 years now.
20 years,
yeah, 20 years. So, business out here for 16 years now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has helped. Like, one of the tips that I can give anybody out there that is listening will be to just don't stop learning. We were talking about it before. You always have to be a student, no matter which level. You could be in a big level, but you can always still learn more.
Right.
And so I feel that just keep learning and don't waste a lot of time. Like, it's, you have so much advantages right now with these iPhones and how they connect to your car.
Sure.
And like you said, you can just learn so many things by the time you get to half an hour drive, so much.
That's right. That's right. And it's a little bit, every little bit. You never know what that
one little thing that you hurt. You hurt it and you're like, let me make that phone call.
That's right.
So you make that phone call and then that's a lot of things change from there. You were trying to.
I was going that path. All right. But my path altered in that it was a very similar path, but a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Instead of the fence being 10 feet tall, it became 2 feet.
Right.
So I was like, my goodness. Yeah.
So tell me some of the struggles, like as far as being an entrepreneur. Like,
okay,
something that you struggle with.
Well, okay, so self-judgment. Okay, like let's say I have 8 things to do. Which is the best one to do? I sometimes, in my worst moments, I beat myself up.
Sure.
Right.
That's typical from an entrepreneur.
Right. But it's by the same token. Let me just say this: is that I wouldn't be sitting here today if I wasn't a lot easier on myself. All right. Before, I would beat myself up so much that I would need to know the answers to the next 100 questions. But that's not true. That is absolutely not true.
Yeah, that's not possible. Being an entrepreneur.
It's not. I'll be frozen.
Right.
In the moment.
Right.
I've got to trust myself to where if I make this next right decision, when I reach the next decision, I'll be okay with not knowing the answer, and I'll find the answer and move forward from there.
Yeah.
I got an intent to be here. But I also have to be open enough to be able to be flexible and move.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, self-judgment is big, especially when you're free to choose your path and go whatever you want and you have all these problems coming at you and all these decisions to make too. Which one you take first, like, are you doing the right thing? It's a lot.
Right.
Once you learn how to manage that.
Yeah, when I say for me, if I do non-movement, if I try to analyze too much, I get frozen, and then being frozen is worse than choosing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's better to choose the wrong thing,
Right,
and then learn and change again,
right,
than it is to hyper-analyze on what the right thing is.
Right. Yeah, try to reach perfection. It just slows you down. It's just never be.
And
There's never perfection, you know. Even
Right.
if you're trying to like get it so perfect, but it's gonna slow you down.
I'd never be here if I did that.
Right,
I'd never
right.
be because there were so much unknowns.
Sure.
So many unknowns. I just had to go almost by faith. Well, not almost by faith, really by faith.
Sure.
That this is the right thing to do, and it will work out, and I trust I'll figure it out.
Cool. Well, it sounds like you're on the right path, and you've done a lot of things. So let's talk about like some. We talk about giving some tips. Like one of the things that we try to do at this podcast is to give a lot of good content to people to like make some decisions. So we're giving some good information. So let's talk about like some great tips that we can share as far as retirees and maybe homeowners.
Okay.
Like let's share some tips of what can they start doing right now to live a better life financially.
Okay, so I'll probably say a few different things. Okay, is deal with someone you trust, deal with someone who's competent, also deal with someone who looks at your overall picture. Okay, let me share with you why that's the case. Is that some people get so fixated on this particular issue that they're dealing with. Meanwhile, there may be another issue that is 3 times the problem that this is that they were not even aware of. Okay, so no joke. That's no joke. So I was sitting with this lady, and she fell and broke her hip, and she was in a nursing home, and she wanted to go home. Well, truth of the matter is, it's way safer for her to be in the nursing home at this particular lady. Safer for her. She gets 3 meals a day, and it was a lot more freedom. She knew a ton of people on the hallway, and people could come and go and visit her at any point in time.
Sure.
I was like, why in the world you want to go home? But she's was concerned with the money, and she was adding everything up. I said, she had really no idea how well she was off, how well off she was. That the money was not an issue. Mm-hmm. Again, in her mind, she's thinking the money.
Right.
But truthfully, she was totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a tip would be really make sure you talk to somebody who looks at the overall picture, because whatever you may be focused on may not be really the problem. I've talked to people who thought they were in trouble, and they were well off. They were fine.
Tell me the outcome of this lady. Like what happened? Like how do you help her?
Okay, so God, I love her, but she was totaling up with how much it costs to live there, and she's like, how in the world am I going to be able to stay here? I'm like, I said, and she was 91 at the time. I said, you could live here for 300 years and still be okay.
Wow.
She had no idea. Now, it may be that she just was so concerned that dollar amount of the monthly. She just was concerned that was a lot of money, mm-hmm. and it wasn't for her.
Sure,
it just wasn't.
So you broke it down for her.
Yeah, I said, listen, this is what this, and she had no idea.
So you help her put the money somewhere.
All of that. The according to what her needs were, making mm-hmm. sure she's charitably inclined. Things were set up that way. She had her will set up. Beneficiary was her name correctly. I would recommend that. Make sure everybody name their beneficiary right. Mm-hmm. There have been instances where someone's ex-wife is the beneficiary of their accounts,
and they haven't been in touch.
And they have. I'll keep in mind. I said ex-wife. Okay, so that can cause some problems if the beneficiaries aren't named right.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but that's something so simple, but
the people overlook.
Right.
Or some people don't name a beneficiary, and that can also be a problem because it may cause some tax problems if they die. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks we're 10 feet tall and bulletproof, but accidents happen every day.
Sure.
Right.
Wow. So that's a great story. So you help her out, stay there, and
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and by the same token, I met with someone. This is two scenarios here. Met with someone yesterday. they saw that their neighbor was a burden on their children, you know, and that their children were a long ways away, and they kept having to come visit to take care of the dad who was having some health issues, and it was very stressful. He didn't want to be a burden, so he's going to move closer to the kids, and he was so concerned about, you know, if this home sells early, if it sells, you know, and he's going to have to move twice and have things in storage or whatever. And I'm like, how much is it going to cost you to do in storage or whatever? I don't know, $3,000, $4,000, I don't know. I'm like, just simply ask for $4,000 more for your property. If they accept it, don't worry about it. He was so concerned about the perfection of how he wanted to deal with it versus really accepting it as it came. You asked for a certain price, you got a certain price.
Right.
Don't worry about it. You can outsource this other stuff. And some people don't know that there's another company out there that can outsource this stuff. Like I didn't. I was looking at all these different options, but there was companies out there that actually do it all.
Sure.
You know, in my industry, right?
Sure.
So in dealing with someone like me who's been in this, you know, in the local area for 23 years, I know of so many different types of people who do so many types of things, roofs or whatever,
right,
that help them client go from A to Z,
right,
with the least amount of hurdles. Okay?
Sure.
But sometimes people are so closed up that they don't want to be open and really share with them what their concerns are. And if they're not, then it really does rely all on them. But if they are, the help can be out there if they are open to it.
If they're willing to listen and you know, adapt to that change, you know, just open up your mind and
deal with someone who is you know, is open and honest and ethical and you know, sometimes people have an axe to grind, unfortunately, but those who don't can really help people, you know, do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about earlier before, a lot of our audience, they have homes, right? They're retirees. Like, what would be your best advice for them to, because we find a lot that sometimes they have a big leak, the wall's been rotted in, and they feel that they can't afford it because they didn't plan for it. You know, they didn't plan ahead of time to maintain the property. Something that could be so, like a simple maintenance, they could have just make the property and the roof or the siding or anything last much longer, but it was just a little bit of maintenance, but now it's too late. Now they got all these different problems, and that can cost them $20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
That's true.
Sure.
That's true.
What would you recommend somebody, you know?
So a lot of times when people who end up in that situation, they have failed to plan earlier. Okay. You know, if they're living with that very small margins of safety, meaning that they didn't have an emergency fund set aside, that's a problem. Okay, maybe they're not living within their means. Okay, I
think that's a big one too.
That's a giant one.
Okay, that's probably one of the biggest ones that most people face.
No question about it. Okay, so one of my friends, and he does really good at working out. He says you never can out-train a bad diet.
Right.
Okay. Which I'm a perfect example of that. I could probably go 7 days a week and still be this way. You know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
But you know, I've seen people make $1 million a year and go broke. I've seen people make $50,000 a year and be wealthy.
Right.
And living within the means. Okay. And some people are unaware of that. Well, I'm okay. Well, maybe you're not. You know. The reverse is also true. This lady in the nursing home who happened to be perfectly okay. There's many people I've talked to who were thinking they were okay and they actually are not.
Sure.
And then, hey, it's okay to know that financially speaking, that you got cancer. You really need to make some changes here, or 2 or 3, 4 years down the road, if you had a roof leak, if you had some problems, you're not going to be able to deal with them.
Sure.
Okay. And so it is hey, maybe, spending money here versus here, maybe something to take a look at.
So start maybe putting some money aside for.
Absolutely. But yes, absolutely have an emergency fund. Then people need to have either between 3 and 18 months worth of emergency cash set aside. Meaning that if their monthly income, monthly expenses, 3 to 18 months. Mm-hmm. And why the big variance? Well, if you're a sole breadwinner with a spouse and children at home, maybe you need 18 months.
Right.
If you're single and are a government employee with no debt, maybe 3 months. 3 months. And so there's a variance between between those. Okay? Sure. Yeah.
Sure. So let's say, for example, I'm a homeowner. I'm retiring with this much money. So the first thing. So if I feel that I'm not going to be able to budget for some of these things, just start looking at your expenses and thinking like, what can you start taking out of
that's
that
one
expense?
Thing. Another thing that I've been able to help people with. Okay, hey, I do have this expense. In this example of this person about moving, they have no debt now and they want to move and build this house and they may need $70,000. What's the best way to get $70,000? Is it to liquidate it from the investments? Is it to take out a mortgage? Is it to do a line of credit on my investments? A line of credit? Mm-hmm. What's the best option? And that depends on their particular situation.
So that's when someone like you comes into the picture and then just help them out to understand the numbers better.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I mean, I'm not a numbers guy, but I've been a businessman for 16 years now, and sometimes I feel like all these numbers are here, and like, what's the best decision to make?
That's right.
Even though I could be very smart with business, doing transactions with business, I might be not so good at financial decisions.
That's so true. So another thing is that the financial numbers may tell you one thing, but emotionally speaking, I might not be able to handle that. I might, for example, let's say, and this is no joke, this is last week. So this one lady, and she's young. I say young. I'm saying she's young. She's 33, 32. She's like, I'm real conservative. And I gave her a risk score. Yes, she was conservative. No doubt. She did. And so, you need to have your money invested this way, okay, because of you're conservative. Great. Well, she sent me her 401k investments. Investments of how she have her 401k set up. She was this risky. She was really risky with her 401k investments. Wow. Probably had no idea.
Wow.
No idea. So it is. A lot of people just are unaware.
Sure.
Of what's out there.
Right. So you have to have somebody with that experience that can help you to guide you through the whole process.
Right. Well, it certainly helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, so that can hurt you.
Yeah,
that can hurt you, especially financially. I mean, right now I feel that a lot of the studies when we go to these conventions and we do a lot of these events where people talk about financing on the roofing industry, like for example, they talk about like how like most people don't have any funds, like they don't even have $1,000 saved in the bank for emergency. So anything, say like 70% live to paycheck, and
I'm gonna plug somebody here, Dave Ramsey. Okay, it's a very good book, and he's got baby steps. Like 7 or 8 baby steps of what people can do to get their finances right. One of them is the first thing, have $1,000 saved. Mm-hmm. Okay, so people need to. So what would be best for you may not be best for me. We're all on different steps, right?
Sure.
And so each individual person really needs to think about what's their next best step.
Right.
Paying down a credit card, whether it be paying off their mortgage or whatever.
I've been watching, I know you, Gary Vee.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I see how he gives the advice like to people. Hey, I came out here as an immigrant, and I was, we were like 11 people in one room, and maybe what you need to do is you need to downsize and just be there with like maybe 10 roommates.
That's right.
Do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes to get ahead of the game.
That's right.
If you don't get ahead of the game, I mean, the game is over for you. So you got to do whatever it takes, and that's when it comes to like change, you know, like that's a tough part, but I mean, we all have to face it at some point and to live within our means, and sometimes
that's right. People
really
attach an identity to a certain thing as well. It's like, oh, if I take a step back, that's a reflection on me, and that's so bad. Well, sure. Everybody goes through ups and downs, and it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just normal.
Yeah, and it's a learning process, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then we also talked about before about some tips maybe for young people out there that, you know, you have a son.
Yeah.
How old is your son?
He's 15.
15 years old. You told me just recently that he had a good hit video.
Oh yeah,
TikTok.
He did.
How many viewers he had on that one?
2 million.
2 million. Wow.
Yeah, 2 million
I told
views.
him he was really nice.
He's embarrassed by it. You know, he gets all this. He's embarrassed by it.
Sure.
But at 15,
he's a comedian. I mean, he's got the comedian inside of him.
Yeah, he does.
Because he was making some jokes, right? That's how he got there.
Yeah.
So, you know, having a kid, and you know, having all these young people that they're coming into becoming an adults, what would you advise these guys, knowing what you know now?
Start saving early.
Start saving early.
Let me give you an example. Okay. All right. If you put $5,000 in an investment every single year for 40 years, okay. In this particular investment, I'm not going to quote it. It's okay. If you did every single year for 40 years. All right, that's 200 grand. At the end of all of that, you'd have close to $1.7 million.
$1.7 million
off a $200,000 investment.
$200,000 investment. So
right,
$5,000
every single year.
Per year.
Every single year. Now, the exact same investment, you did 30 years instead of 40 years. All right, so you invested $150,000 versus $200,000. How much do you think it would be worth?
1 point something. No?
700,000.
700. Okay.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit less. So in other words,
so that makes a big difference.
$1 million difference.
Wow.
Just by starting early. Starting early. So my boy named Elliot. All right. So birthday money. All right. You saving some. Birthday money. Saving some. Whatever.
Sure.
And so he's starting to save.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's a great advice.
Oh yeah.
Being able to start saving early. Right.
Hey, well, what am I going to do in 40 years? Hey, if you're going to be around for 40 years, you might as well be wealthy.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, that's, you know, instead of buying, you know, cars, watches, and something that's going to depreciate.
Yeah.
Just to impress people that
don't really care about you. It's not that much.
Right.
5 is not that much.
5,000, yeah. So let's say, for example, like you get out of high school, you get a job making, let's say, what, 20?
Yeah, whatever.
$5,000 a year.
Yeah.
You know, live within your means and save. Try to save that $5,000.
Absolutely. If your company has a 401k plan or a retirement plan, automatically save on that.
Save on that.
And as you get pay increases, at least take half of that pay increase and put it in a retirement plan.
Sure. You're going to go party, then drink a cheaper beer.
That's right. That's right.
Do whatever it takes.
So I had a client of mine who retired at 50. He saved 50% of his income from age 16.
Wow.
Every single, but he retired at 50. And he is, oh man, he's well off. Wow. Really, really well off. And really lives a life of unbelievable, I mean, travels the world, everything. But he
paid the price. So he could pay the price now.
Right, but he lives off of 50%. He lived off of 50% of his income.
Wow.
You know, and so
that is hard to do. You know, especially.
Okay, so most people.
I'm not saying that it's hard like emotionally, like because you want to go do this, do that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean that's the best move.
Yeah, or just say, live off of 90%, save 10.
Right.
Save 10. Sure. Most people don't do that. Most people spend 101%.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You make 100,000, then you spend it 200.
Yeah, or spending 101.
Yeah. Right.
They're going against the game. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So that's a great tips. Those are some really good tips. What are your plans for 2020?
Plans for 2020. be a better dad, be a better husband, be a better business owner.
What about on your business? You have any good plans? Any good goals?
I truthfully, Ronald, I try not to have specific goals because whatever I might be fixated on may not be what I need to work on.
Sure.
Right. But each day I have an intent to work on certain things, and if something else shows up much more important, I'll do that. So
sure.
just help more people.
Absolutely. Man, that's good. That's the best intention you can have is try to help out more people.
That's right.
The more that you help, I mean, the better this work can become. I was just reading out here through my notes that this is something that I wanted to touch the talk about is when you one of the on the achievement part when you helped out the Myrtle Beach High School win the championship in tennis. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So legendary coach, Rivers Lynch, legendary coach, been around forever and ever. Great guy, always smiling, great guy. And he was head coach, and I was assistant coach. And unfortunately, right before the playoffs last year in 2019, he passed away, heart attack. And it was just I needed to be head coach. I mean, I was assistant coach. There was no one there. And so I became head coach, and 2 of his grandsons were on the tennis team. All right. I mean, really.
Wow.
Really. And, I mean, they haven't won a state championship in about 10 years or close to 10 years. And the crazy thing is, the day of the funeral, we played our toughest opponent that afternoon. Unbelievable. And because
it would be so emotional. Huh?
It was gosh knows. I mean, it was not a dry eye in the place. Now, wonderful about the Myrtle Beach community, we had tons of people show up with signs and banners, and oh man, it was
supporting her.
Oh man, it was fantastic. But also that's a testament to how wonderful a person Rivers Lynch was. I mean, just a wonderful person. And 2 of his grandsons were on the team, and they played. I mean, they playing again, playing the toughest opponent we played so far this year. We ended up we did something a little unusual because you can mix up your doubles teams. We only need 1 point. They needed 2. Typically, you put your 2 strongest players at the one position, just because you want that 1 point. The team, it wasn't my decision. The team decided to mix up the best player with the worst player and so on, and mix it up. That's controversial at that moment. And it was still my final decision because I had to write it down. And I kneeled down in the middle of the court, people thinking I was kneeling down writing, which I was. But I spent an extra 45 seconds there praying. Praying that it was, no matter what happens, please help me be able to be a good coach to these boys, you know. But what happened was that mixing up the lineup was so controversial that the other team never thought they would do it. And we won easy. We won easy. And then ended up winning the state championship, the state finals. Wow. That last year. It was awesome. It was unbelievable. I mean, really, Myrtle Beach.
Very emotional.
Oh my goodness.
Great story.
Oh man, the community is just unbelievable. I mean, they're really great support for kids in the community. It really is.
Wow. That sounds like really emotional time, and you know, having a great person like you just helping throughout the whole.
As much as I can.
You know? Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Jeremy, this is a question that I always ask anybody that sits here with us. If you could talk to the young Jeremy and give him an advice, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
I would say be easier on myself. Like I'd beat myself up a lot, right, inside my own head. And be easier on myself. People, it's okay to make a mistake. Just move forward. Hey, it may feel like you're moving backward, but even that is a learning experience.
Sure.
So just be easier on myself. And I think that if I was easier on myself, I would have been free to take more risk as a younger person.
Sure.
And see things a lot better.
Yeah, that's a big thing, you know, when you're beating yourself too much.
Yeah.
You know, you really can't see too far when, you know, like, you're the person that judge yourself the most, you know, like you feel that maybe everybody else is judging you, but you're the hardest person on yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the pain, what would end up happening, and I would feel so much, I would anticipate so much self-pain if I did something wrong, that what I would do is I would freeze myself from doing a lot of new things or things that I think could be done better.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. That's a great advice. What about some of the best advice you ever had?
Ooh.
Best advice you ever had?
Best advice I ever had? Wow. Gosh. Man, I've so many. The thing is that a lot of times I get good advice and I don't remember it until later. You know.
Sure.
But sometimes I'm not ready for it. Right. And then
it's too ahead.
And then when I hear it again, I'm like, yeah. The best advice, my dad always taught me to save early. See, I was a good saver from the very beginning. And then, going through, a lot of, I'd probably say, being a little bit easier on myself. Mm-hmm. People have always said that, but I never understood it. Mm-hmm. And understood really how much I'm limiting myself by doing that. By not being easy on myself.
So you started understanding this more now that you open up your own firm?
Well, yeah, that's not just my own firm. There's other things that I've been working on, self-reflection of myself, to where I can be more easy on myself and have better clarity around what I'm doing.
All right.
Yeah, it's more of a spiritual thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's more of a spiritual thing. Yeah,
I totally understand where you're coming from, because I feel the same way. Sometimes I feel that I need to be easier. And that's one thing that I tell all anybody around me, like employees, because sometimes they come out here just pretty much freaking out, like thinking like, wow, man, I should have, go this route. Like, you just made a mistake. It's just so normal.
Right.
There's no reason to get stressed out about it. Just forget about it. Let's just refocus, and let's just live in the moment right now. Like, what happened. Learn,
move,
and just move on, and that's it.
Right.
Like, just don't. For us as a team, there's no need for us to just come out here and just being stressed out all day about some mistake that happened. And that's, a lot of people kind of come right here to my office. They come in and they feel like, well, that's not that. They might think like, well, I'm gonna be upset maybe that also myself that, maybe, we give the wrong bid to this. Now we're losing money, but we're gonna come through no matter what, because that's our responsibility. And they're thinking, I said, look, it was just a mistake, Don't beat yourself up. And I'm not really, I've done it before, so let's just move on. Let's just use that as put it on the file cabinet.
That's right.
Write it down. That's a mistake. Now you understand it. You're gonna learn that mistake.
That's right.
There's no need to stress out right here. I don't beat myself too much, to
right.
be honest with you. I learned that earlier too.
So someone said it in a way, it's taking all the mistakes of the past and dumping it on my head, and all the worries of the future dumping it on my head. I mean, that's just no way for me to live. But that's what I did for a very long time. Mm-hmm. But when I'm free to understand that the mistakes of my past help me have a better understanding, if I let it, to the moment I'm in right now, and understand that I got to have a bit of faith in the future. I don't need to know all the answers to the future. I don't. And guess what? I might not. I'll never know. Right. And so if I am in the present moment enough, that's really where relations happen and everything.
Wow, absolutely.
Yeah, and gosh, man, it was like the whole world became lighter.
Right.
Know? And so
to be able to learn how to live on uncertainty.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's uncertainty about knowing, but a faith that I know. I'll be okay.
Sure.
The faith is I'll be okay.
Faith is everything. Yeah.
Faith is I'll be okay. How that okay looks is my own ego wanting to know.
Sure.
So, hey, whether that be, driving this car, or whether that be owning your own business or being an employee, whether that be whatever, hey, I'll be all right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the right attitude.
Yeah.
Last question for you. Who do you know that I need to know?
Greg Harrelson.
Greg Harrelson. Okay.
Yeah, good friend of mine. One of the best real estate agents in the world, in the country. Really, really is. Entrepreneur like yourself. Manages a lot of people. Great with podcasts and everything.
Awesome.
Super guy.
Awesome. So how do you know Greg?
He elbowed me in the face playing basketball 25 years ago.
Oh, okay. So long time friend.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he introduced me to my wife.
Wow.
He sure did.
So you've been married how long?
18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So he introduced you to your wife.
Right.
Great friend.
Yeah, good friend. And
great entrepreneur.
Absolutely. And he mentioned a lot of these things to me throughout, past 25 years. And I just was not aware. I wasn't the student open enough to get it. Mm-hmm. But now I hear some of the things I hear now. I'm like, damn, Greg told me that so long ago, but I wasn't open.
I think becoming a business owner and an entrepreneur, it really humbles you.
Yeah.
It really humbles you because things, they just, a lot of times they don't go the way you're thinking, that you're planning, and that really humbles you,
That's right.
Be able to, you see all the adversity and all the, all these different things in front of you, they can make you fail and make you feel uncomfortable.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you start thinking, well, that's a great advice that that somebody told me that I can apply right now. That's when we really open up your mind, I think.
That's right.
To understand some of these concepts and advices.
Incredibly rewarding.
Absolutely.
It is unbelievable.
Well, Jeremy, it was a pleasure having you here with us.
Yeah.
I hope to see you soon. And I wish you the best. And hope you keep helping a lot of the people that needs it here.
Yeah.
And we'll be around.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, anybody wants sign up for my newsletter. I send out educational information usually on a weekly basis. Email me. I'll put you on the list. Any questions they may have at all whatsoever, email me.
Sure.
No questions too dumb or too simple.
Sure. And I was reading your newsletter, man, and that's some great content. That's some great pieces of content that really make you think and help you, to guide you through, whatever you are financially.
Right. I try to keep it very simple.
Yeah, so that was
very
really
simple.
Cool.
I try to keep it. It's not, canned store-bought stuff.
Because what happened is also when you're talking to a financial planner, and you get those emails. I feel that sometimes there's so much vocabulary that I don't even understand, or I don't understand the point because it's too complex. But you keep it really simple, easy to understand, and really good tips that you can really take action on.
That is my intent.
Right.
That is absolutely my intent.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then let's just put his email address, Stan. Let's put it right there on on the end of the somewhere right here on the screen. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Hey, thank you,
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.